Hello, everybody. Glenn McDonald with another episode of Mainline Strength and Conditioning Podcast. And today I have a good friend of mine, Carl Williams.
Hello, everyone.
Carl, introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about your history, where you grew up, your childhood, and whatever you want to talk about.
Well, I'm an old man now, 58. I grew up in Chicago, in the Chicagoland area here. And like we were talking about earlier, I actually went to school in the Elgin area. I was born in Chicago, went to school in the Elgin area. All my people are in Chicago. And that's where I spent the majority of my, the formative years. That's what they call it. And did sports and did all those things that you do in high school.
What sports did you play?
Everything. Football, basketball, baseball. I was really good at baseball. I as a matter of fact, I carried that over into the military. But baseball was my thing. And I played every sport probably since I was probably about 8 years old. And I was, I'm not trying to pat myself on the back. Everybody has their lane, but baseball was my
your jam?
That was my jam.
Nice.
But it was the early 80s, 1982, and there was no money for school. My father had passed away. My stepfather passed away. And, you're looking for that lane. You're looking for some direction.
Right.
So I went to the military. I went to the Air Force. Now, I know, Glenn, that's a shock. That's a pain to your system because I didn't go.
No, it's not.
No, because I didn't go to the Marines.
No.
But
hey, you're one of the smart ones. Let's say that. I couldn't get in the Air Force. My ASVAB was way too low for that.
I think you're a Marine at heart, so you made the right choice, and you were a captain. So, and I got to say, I'm going to break away, and absolutely, probably the best captain I ever had.
I appreciate that, man.
That's
really appreciate that.
I got no dog in that fight, but you were a fucking awesome captain.
Thank you.
But I'm back on track. So I went into the military.
I didn't pay him for that.
I went into the military, looking for some direction, and that's what I did. I went into the Air Force, and I was a grunt. I was a cop in the Air Force,
okay.
And I was glad.
Was that security?
At that time, it was security forces.
Oh yeah, security forces. Okay.
Law enforcement and security were divided. I was in the security side, but I worked law enforcement side too. Okay, so let me back up. I get kind of scattered here.
Yeah.
I got out of high school. I went into the military in 1983 on a delayed enlistment program. Went to school and went to security forces. My first duty assignment was Little Rock Air Force Base.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
Arkansas.
I want to talk about a culture shock.
Yeah.
My
From
people,
Chicago to Arkansas, yeah, a little difference.
my grandmother's from Arkansas. My mother's from Mississippi. I had culture shock. I didn't shit for a week. But after that, my first duty assignment went to Korea after that, Osan Air Base, Korea. Okay. And there things started opening up for me, tactically wise. Because when we went over there, again, this is 1984, 85.
Right.
We learned tactics. A lot of the things that we learned that we use in the Bureau were tactics brought from the military.
Right.
How to clear a room,
right?
How to clear a building,
right.
Rappelling. Some of those things that we did. This is very early on. And when I got to Korea, we really did a lot of that. So I learned tactics, and it helped out. Left Korea, went to Vandenberg Air Force Base.
Germany, right?
Is
that Germany?
No, that was California. Came back home.
Okay. Right.
And it was outside of Lompoc. Vandenberg is right there.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
So let me back up the clock a little bit. When I was a kid, I said to myself, I will never, ever, 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 ever join the military. I thought you were crazy for doing that. And 18, I went into the military. I went to Vandenberg, and I knew people and met people that were in the prison system. And again, at this time is probably about 86. I said, if you work for the prison system, you are fucking crazy. I will never work for the prison system. So I washed that out of my mind, and I continued to learn tactics. Went to Germany, and I love Germany.
Yeah.
Germany was probably my favorite duty assignment.
Where were you stationed in Germany?
I was stationed at Bitburg. So if I knew nothing about Germany, I knew nothing about Europe. But Bitburg is it's called the Rhineland Pfalz. That's the state. About 20 or 30 minutes west, and you're in France. You go northwest 20 minutes.
Beautiful.
You go northwest 20 minutes, you're in Belgium. I'm sorry, Luxembourg. And you go straight north, you're in Belgium. All within about 20 or 30 minutes. And so we traveled. My wife and I, we did a bunch of traveling, and we got to see a whole bunch of things. That's where I got my taste of law enforcement, because we went back. They were short, and we learned more law enforcement tactics. Again, it was less security and more law enforcement. So we went through tactics. I learned different tactics, different procedures, maneuvers, and again, it was very, very close to the things that we did
Right.
in the bureau. So, excuse me. So I learned those things in Germany, and I say this because Germany, for me, was an eye-opening experience. Even though I was in Korea and we had fun there, and I got drunk a lot and do all the things that a 19-year-old would do. But again, I love Germany. It was a wonderful, humbling, amazing experience, and I learned a lot there. So after Germany, well, let me tell you about Germany. So this is what really soured me on the military. It was a Friday afternoon. I'll never forget it. And there was a lot of, this is 1982, and there was a lot of stuff going on, politically motivated things going on, because the Berlin Wall had just come down.
Right.
So there was no need for the bases, and they closed the bases. Friday afternoon, we had a base-wide recall, and the commander of the base said, "We are not closing Bitburg. I don't care what you hear in the what you hear in the civilian world, on TV, in the German newspaper. I'm here to tell you, in front of the entire base, we're not closing." This was Friday. Monday morning, they closed the base. They announced Bitburg is closing.
Good old government. Yeah.
So that right there pretty much soured me.
Yeah.
Now the choices that I had was to go to Rhine-Main, which was overcrowded at the time because everybody wanted to stay in Germany, and I had to move. We would have had to move off base again, and then wait for on base housing in a base that's already crowded. We could have gone to Japan, and we had no interest in going to Japan. We wanted to stay in Germany, or we could go back stateside, flip a coin, and take our choices, take our chances. So we flipped the coin and wound up in F.E. Warren, Wyoming. Yeah.
But Wyoming is beautiful, though, right?
Wyoming is beautiful, but
But
east of the Rocky Mountains, you can almost see Germany. It's so flat. So, Wyoming is beautiful. It was absolutely gorgeous. And again, the Front Range, that's what they call it, of the Western Rockies is absolutely gorgeous. And the weather is something that I wasn't prepared for. We were out at the missile sites.
right.
And
Doing what, security more than anything?
security out at the missile sites. And we would stay out there for I think it was like 3 days at a time or something. Yeah.
That's cold.
That's cold.
Yeah.
And I was tired. And, I didn't have to leave the area. I was a supervisor. You stay base side. But this is not what I wanted to do, right? Go out to the missile field. My son was in kindergarten at the time. I had a wife at home. I didn't want to be, doing this for the rest of my days, 3 or 4,
Right.
So we had a decision to make. And I said to myself, I want to do something different. And it was a big change, right? Security, job security, financial security.
Right.
It was very comfortable. but I wasn't happy with what we were doing. So my wife at the time and we talked about it, and I said I wanted to get out. And so they had an early out program.
And how many years was that you had?
At that time, it was right almost at 12.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So I said, I want to get out. I'm tired of doing this. I'm tired of the grind that the military brings.
Mm-hmm.
So I had a friend who said, have you thought about the prison system?
Which is like 92, 91, 92?
93 at that time,
Okay.
94.
Yep.
And I said, I can't, prison system, you guys are crazy. Now, I met him in Lompoc. He got remarried,
Mm-hmm.
and he met a young lady. They both went to the prison system. And he said, Carl, you got to check this out, man. He said, it's tough, grueling work, but it's very rewarding, satisfying. He was a psychologist.
Rewarding?
He's a psychologist.
Oh, okay.
He's a psychologist.
Wow. Okay. Rewarding. Huh? Today, especially today, that's a big word today.
Well,
rewarding.
if you fulfilling your calling,
Okay.
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
He loved what he was doing, and he went to the prison system, and he had moved actually to Colorado at this time. So I said, you know what? We'll move to Colorado, but I'm not going to the prison system because you're still fucking crazy for working in a prison. So I got out and did a few jobs here and security there and those sorts of things. And coming from the military, I was very secure with having a steady paycheck and a roof over my head, and we had all those things. But in the civilian market, it's very up and down.
Yeah.
And we had just bought a house, and everything seemed to be going well. But again, I didn't feel like the security aspect was there. One minute you're fine, next minute they're talking about cutbacks. So I said, my friend's name was Jeff. I said, Jeff, man, tell me about the prison system. He said, and he gave me the rundown. And after about, it took some time to convince me. And I went to the interview.
Right.
And the only thing Jeff told me, he said, they're going to ask you a bunch of questions. He said, you have enough background. He said, just be honest. Mm-hmm. Whatever they ask you, you're not going to know the answers.
Right.
Just be honest and answer the questions.
Did you have the pleasure of the interview panel of the captain, chief psychologist, associate warden, maybe like 2 different department heads and the HR manager?
That's exactly what I had.
Yeah, that's what I had too.
That's exactly what I had. Now, I don't want to put anybody's name out there, but it was Johnny Carr was the captain.
Really?
Johnny Carr was the captain.
Jeez.
And
some old days there, man.
It's the old days. This is at this time it's probably, but by the time I decided to come in, it's like 96, 97.
Rookie. Yep.
Rookie.
I started in 93.
It was Florence, Colorado.
Yep.
That's where I did my interview. And Florence at that time was still dumping, the Bureau was still dumping its toilet.
Into the USP, right?
Because
were they building the ADX at the time?
The ADX was finished, and they actually had prisoners in there when I got there.
Okay.
But the USP
was
we did
toilet bowl, wasn't it?
We did a tour there. We're still in our, at that time you wore a tie and a suit to training. We walk in for our very first interview, and everything, they're in a lockdown. Everything is locked down. They said, well, we're going to have to come back another time so you can see what it's like, right? The following week, we're still in IF, right? I know I'm skipping around, but
that's all right.
We're still in IF. We walk in, we go through the first sets of grills, we show second set of grills. The door slams. Beep, 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 beep. Yeah. We don't even know where we're running. Yeah. Right? They were just following the crowd. Jackets, ties all over the place. We get to the maintenance department, and there's 2 guys two of the biggest dudes I've ever seen before. Because back then we still had weights.
Right.
There were still
Yeah,
weights.
yeah,
on
that
them.
weight pile and everything.
So these dudes are
we're
hugged.
jacked.
Yeah, these dudes are hugged up like two bears. They're tired as hell because they've been fighting for so long, blood everywhere, and I didn't even get a chance to really know where I was at. It was my first experiencing one of my first experiences inside a USP, but it was very telling because from that moment on, I understood that this is not the military.
Right.
This
This
is
is real deal.
This is the real deal.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And people get hurt, people die, and those sorts of things happen. Florence rocked and rolled like nothing I've ever seen. And again, I'm skipping around, but some of the questions that were asked at that, you don't realize how it translates into exactly what you're doing. If you've never seen a prison before, you got a bunch of people, they ask you questions like, back then, there's a game on. It's the 7th game of the NBA, right? What do you do? Right?
You keep the TV on or you turn it off?
You turn it off, right? And when you're placed in that situation, it's easy to say, you're going to turn off that TV. And you're the only one, and there's 120 inmates.
120 killers, and you're all by yourself.
It's one thing to say it.
Yep.
It's another thing to do it. When you graduate to the point where you can do it, you arrived.
Oh, yeah.
Because you have to do that. You have to.
And there's a way to do it, though.
And there's a way.
There's a good way, there's a bad way.
There's a bad way to do it.
I think I've been on both sides.
If you don't do the bad side, you're never going to learn the good side.
No.
So you do. Those sorts of things that you learn. And I was glad that I worked at the USP first because it taught me how to deal with inmates. It taught me somewhat how to deal with staff because at Florence, when I got there, for those of you who don't know, this is the early 90s. So at Florence, there was a lot of shit going on. There was allegations that staff were beating handcuffed inmates.
Right.
There were allegations of corruption, all kinds of things going on. And it was really bad. Anybody who was new that was outside of that group,
nobody trusted you.
Got treated like shit.
Yeah.
And it was constant.
Yeah.
So I didn't know anything you hear about it, but, in the crux of it, in the middle of it, you don't understand what that is. And so they're treating me like shit, like I've done something. And I didn't do nothing. I'm here to get a job.
Right.
What compounded it for me is I'm hungry. I got into the bureau late. I spent 12 years in the military. Right. I'm 33 years old.
Yeah, you got a ton of experience too. So, I mean, just being older.
But I just want to, I want to learn this job. Now, some people say you're a kiss ass. I got a lot of that because wait a minute now. I'm spinning out of control. But Florence was an eye-opening experience. One of my mentors was Ray Holt. Ray Holt he understood the ins and the outs of the bureau. He was a warden at the time. And he said, listen, I'm going to teach you how to do this, right? I'm going to show you what it is. But you have to understand that there's a lot of politics involved. Stay out of the way. Don't get in trouble. But I'm going to need you to go to SHU.
So he sees the potential in you. That's all. That's all that is.
So I went to SHU. And you have to understand that SHU at that time was ground zero for the Cowboys, is what they call themselves.
Right.
I don't for those of you that know a little bit about this situation, the Cowboys, they call themselves the Cowboys, not me. I saw staff with chits that said Cowboys on it. That's what they used to get their equipment. I didn't call them that. They called themselves that. They were a gang within the prison. And I saw people in SHU that were the crux, the main group of the Cowboys that controlled it like it was their own. They wouldn't let the warden in. That's where they were at. Some of those same people wound up going to jail.
True.
Right? Yep. When the U.S. attorney knocks on the warden's door and says, I need to get in there.
You're coming in.
Yeah. And I watched him and his assistant one day go up in the tower and talk to one of those individuals. He went into the tower on duty in the middle of the day. The U.S. Attorney Fitzgerald. I watched him do that.
Wow.
I saw what I thought had people who had potential deteriorate in front of my eyes. Right? They'd come to work with their regular clothes on and go to the tower with a bag that they had to carry up. Because when they got up there, they're not doing no work.
Wow.
Individuals who, when I came to the Bureau, were tight, looked sharp, everything was correct.
Right.
But
Uniforms squared away all the time.
they allowed
polished boots.
Polished boots. They allowed themselves to go down that rabbit hole.
Yeah.
And, the allegations were, because I didn't see anything, is that they were beating handcuffed inmates, right? And I heard stories about how it all began, and executive staff was involved, and you hear all the rumors and all this other kind of good stuff. But Shoe was the turning point, and so one day I'm in Shoe, and all those guys they were gone. The rotation came in, and there was an individual who was on evening watch, who was still part of that group, who came in, worked the shift. The next morning, an inmate says, "Hey, I've been assaulted." He says, "Look," holds up his shirt like that. There's a
It's all beat up a little bit. Yeah.
boot print on his.
And they'd only do body shots or no facial?
At that time, it was only body shots.
Yeah.
Shortly after that, I'm pretty sure they had the rooms mic'd.
Oh, I'm sure.
The phones bugged in the bubble area. I didn't see any cameras, but those sorts of things went on. And shortly after that, people that you knew, that you heard were associated, you saw them less and less and less. And those same individuals turned on each other.
Right.
Right. They would have, as told, this was what was part of in the transcripts and stuff. They'd have meetings on how to discuss what they were going to tell the feds. There were individuals in those meetings that were mic'd, that were wearing bugs. So some people went to jail. Others had criminal records. They were, they got in trouble.
Yeah. We actually had about three staff at Danbury that worked at Florence at that time. And we'll talk offline about that. But they went from Florence to Danbury just to transfer to get out of there, let's say. One person went to jail. And the stories I would hear, I'm like, come on, are you serious? Because I worked in Florence. I worked there in 95. I went there in January, I want to say January of 95, as a cook foreman. My wife at the time was pregnant with twins. They passed away in March. Gave birth. They passed away.
Oh man!
And then
sorry.
No, it's all right. And then I want to say what was his name? I can't remember. I can't remember the warden's name right now. So I told the warden, he's like very concerned. Hey, Glenn, what do you want to do? I said, well, my wife wants to go back to Connecticut because that's where her family is. Okay, you can leave. All right. So I got picked up in Danbury and went back to Danbury, and some of those Florence guys were there, and they were telling me these stories. I was like, no way. Like, really?
Yeah.
No way. And I was like, kind of like, wow, that doesn't sound good.
Yeah, and a lot of the stories that came out in the trial and stuff like that, some of that was true, obviously, because there were people that went to jail.
Right.
And again, because I don't want to make the story about me, but I was close with the warden at the time. He's my mentor. And so everybody thought that I was the rat. Yeah, they needed a fall guy. So, Williams, he's a rat, he's this, he's that. I'd go into the warden's office and say, I'm having some trouble. How would you handle this situation with an inmate? and say, well, you know what? I tell that inmate this, and I tell him that, and oh yeah, by the way, this is what you need to study. Take that out, and that's what we would talk about: how to handle inmates. I never once talked about, and he never once talked about anything that happened with the trial, with any inmates. He didn't ask me who was a rat, who was a snitch, none of that. I went in there to get advice on how to be a fucking good CO, and that's what he gave me. And I will forever be indebted to what he did for me.
Right.
And I saw how he handled that situation, and I saw again some of those people that were cowboys. If they may have been taught a different thing, a different way, they may have been okay. I don't know that for a fact, but I saw, and I know for a fact, people that went to jail, broken, busted, crime, physically, literally broken like that because they went down the wrong way.
Yeah.
There's a way to handle an inmate. You don't have to beat his ass to do it.
What do you think? What do you think you learned from that, as far as like, besides the allegations that you're the snitch, you're the whatever.
That's a really
because I'll tell you right now, guys, if whoever's listening to this, if you're involved in something, if you see something,
man,
if you don't do something about it,
man, you
are screwed. You are just as guilty, and you will be hung out to dry, just like everybody else. Whatever you want to call it whatever the hell you want to call it, because you're in trouble.
You're in trouble.
That's it.
And it's, I'm glad you brought that up. Yep. So the crew that we went down, I can't say that we were handpicked, but we were the only ones probably gullible enough to go down there after all that shit.
Right.
And we told each other, right? That's it. We said, look, if anything happens downrange, and you feel like you need to do some shit like that, don't do it in front of me.
Yeah.
Because I'm telling you right now, I got a family at home. I got a wife at home. Yeah. I got shit to protect. Yeah. We're gonna do this the right way. Don't do it in front of me, because I'm gonna. I didn't hide it. I wasn't a dry snitch. Don't do it in front of me, because I'm gonna tell. I got too much to lose. I'm not going to jail. And so we all collectively were on the same page with that. And
that's a lot of pressure on, because what were you, GS7?
GS6. I was brand new to the.
Probably like what, 2 years in, maybe, if that.
No, listen to what I'm telling you.
Less than that.
We were rookies. We were all rookies.
Yeah.
I had less than a year when we went down there. When we started down there, I had less than a year. Back then, you could put rookies in SHU, and it wasn't an issue. So the warden said, look, you guys are going to go down there and you're going to do it the right way, and we're going to clean up SHU. And I didn't know the difference from difference. We went down there, paper in the windows, shit all over them, shit all over.
Everything's covered.
Everything's covered, banging on the doors.
Everything's on fire.
Everything's on fire. The first time I went down there, you couldn't stand outside the bubble because the ranges were so fucked up, you couldn't hear. So a bunch of rookies went down there, and by the time we left, there was not a piece of paper on that fucking floor.
And it's funny you say that, because like you're saying, everybody that went down there after whatever you want to call it, a cleanup, whatever you want to call it, all very rookie staff, young to the bureau, don't even know the ins and outs of what to do, what not to do, and they made a difference, right?
We made a difference,
and that's, to me, the position I held as captain, and then EDM before I retired. I was like, okay, you're a brand new officer. You can make a difference. This is your, like when you're in a housing unit, this is your house.
This is your, man.
You make the difference. You can either have a hell of a good day or the worst day.
Or the worst day ever.
Of your week, because you're going to have probably worse days. But it's funny how you could just see people that would be empowered by that, or would be like completely intimidated by it, and be like, no, I don't think I should do this.
I can't handle it.
Yeah.
And that's not to say that
too many times.
Yes, you're absolutely right. That's a good observation, because I tell you what, it's not for everybody.
No. Oh no. No, and you're better off to know that
going in.
But you can fix that though.
You can, but if you have the right heart and the right staff to do it. And we had Dale Lusader, right? He was another one of my great mentors. and he was our number one. He was that GS8 that was 16 years of GS8, and he was near retirement. But he taught us how to jail down there, and we followed his lead, and we cleaned it up. It was amazing.
No lieutenant?
We had a lieutenant. They finally brought in a lieutenant. It was John Oliver.
Really?
John Oliver was, and that's like that. So John Oliver was a brand new butter bar.
GS9, huh? Jesus.
Wow. And he got stuck down there, and Ray Hope picked him, and he said, "Go down there and clean it up." And John Oliver and the group that went down there, we cleaned it up. The eyes of the Bureau at that time,
they're watching.
They were watching. Oh, yeah. Wow. After we got it cleaned
I'm sure somebody was watching too.
Kathy Hawk Sawyer
through the cameras.
Listen to what I'm telling you. So about a year after it cleaned up, Kathy Hawk Sawyer came in, right? She went straight to shoe. She went directly to shoe.
Right.
She wanted to see it. She wanted to make sure that shit was cleaned up. She walked in, you could hear a pin drop.
She was probably surprised. Right?
She's like, "This is very nice. I'm very impressed with what you guys have done down here." Turned around and walked away. John was like, "I know." I'm not going to say that that place made my career, but you learn so much, and it definitely put John Oliver on the map.
Right.
He's smart. He's smart. He's a smart individual.
Yeah. Yep.
Really smart.
What about after the shoe? Where'd you go? Did you stay in Florence, or where'd you go?
I stayed in Florence, and we for a little while after that, and you say you learn so much. Right after that, the warden got promoted to region.
Yeah, regional director, right?
Southeast region.
Okay.
Everybody who was involved in that.
Ray Holt was
he was Southeast
Black
region.
Dude?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Matter of fact, he was on a cab squad for the Houston Oilers. He's a big dude.
Ray Holt was. Who's the warden at Coleman when we worked there? Holder? I always get them mixed up. Is Holt and Holder, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Holder was in Coleman.
Okay.
He went to Penn 2.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah. All right.
And
all right.
But they were close though.
Yeah, I know.
They were like two peas.
Go back to where you were. That's another story in itself.
I can see it in your eyes. I see it in your eyes. Fuck that dude. Anyway. It was an interesting time. A lot of people made their bones, so to speak.
Right.
In that, I looked at it as a period of time where I learned a lot. Holt got promoted, and I said, you know what, I want to go to Chicago. Right. I knew people here. My family was here, and so 2001, we went to Chicago. My wife at the time.
As what?
I was a GS8.
Okay.
So if we roll it back a little bit, Florence was in 1999, I believe it was. The Bureau had 5 murders, 4 were at Florence.
We're at Florence, yeah.
And so we just kept learning and cycling through and learning and dealing with that. By the time I got to Chicago for the first time, working a high rise for the first time, as a rookie in a high rise, shocking.
Oh yeah, yep. Totally different world.
It's shocking.
Yep.
And for you new guys out there, if you listen to some folks that have been around to other places, pay attention to what they tell you, because we had people in Chicago at that time that were afraid to respond to body alarms. So you can say what you want to about Florence, but everybody showed up.
Right.
They may have hated your guts,
but they still got there.
But everybody showed up when it came time to protect staff. That's what we did. Here, you had staff like, I'm not touching an inmate. Wait a minute. So this bothered me. And I took that hard-nosed, hard-charging, I'm gonna make a difference. I'm gonna make a difference to around people who don't even know how to respond to a body alarm.
Right.
It was a rough transition. And so the captain at the time, another great captain, I got to say, Lazo Savage said, you ought to think about becoming a lieutenant. Mm-hmm. And he said, I would like to, I'd like that opportunity. So again, I'd only been there a few months. I was acting lieutenant. And he said, learn.
Yep.
Now, at the time, again, I didn't have a lot of great mentors in Chicago. So learning on the fly was rough. But, you make do with what you got, and you learn how to do things. Mm-hmm. But, going from a penitentiary where you see people die, where you watch people
hurt all the time.
Hurting all the time.
Yep.
In Florence, right before I left, it was 2000. Again, I'm jumping all over the place. But there was a murder in Shoe, the Sublime incident, right? And if you don't think that details matter, I was a property officer. And there was an inmate that was killed. He was disemboweled. And 2 inmates in the cell at the time.
That's the one where they strung his insides throughout the cell?
Mm-hmm. What they theorize is, I'm getting a little raw here, and I don't know.
Go ahead.
But what they theorize is that there was 3 inmates in the cell. Now you have to understand Florence. 2 inmates in a cell is what it was designed for. We had 3. So our shoe was maybe like, I think it was maybe like 120. We at one time had about 240.
240.
Yeah, it was fucked up.
Mm-hmm.
So I come to work one morning and they're taking the body out. And there's like a body bag and there's another bag on top of him. Yeah. And they're taking him out. And look around. The walls were sprayed with blood. Uh-huh. The floor was gray. You couldn't see it. There was so much blood on the floor. And it was just, you could smell death.
Were those the Samoan guys or Hawaiian guys or whatever
they were?
I can't remember what it was.
They were the Sublime brothers. They were actually cousins. They were Guamanian.
Oh yeah. Okay. Yep.
And what they think happened is they had a cords for your headphones. They strangled him. They had a razor blade and they gutted him.
They strangled him with the earbuds?
Yeah, with the cord.
Wow.
They strangle him out. Everybody's drunk. They cut him open and they had a string from a bed sheet. Yeah. And they strung his intestines on the string. Oh. And they're standing there yelling at the door. Now again, this is the part I came to afterwards. I saw the tape. They had to show me the tape because I was a property officer.
Right.
Williams, did you inventory any headphones?
Yes.
I never saw them. I don't know where they got them from. Uh-huh. Not on any property sheet, not on any inventory. It was Shoe. They could have gotten it from somebody else down the way.
Yeah, they kited him down the range.
Exactly.
Yep.
But that just goes to show you. I had already left Florence, and they called me back.
And you're in Chicago already.
I was in Chicago, and they called me back for that. Yep. So, those little minute details about everything that you see and do, those things matter.
Oh yeah.
And those weren't the things that I was seeing in Chicago when I got here, right? You learn how to see those little details, and I try to tell staff, you're going to get in trouble with this, doing it this way, because these are the consequences behind it. Chicago just runs itself. Don't worry about it, man. You're too stressed. You're too worried about it. That's what I was told. Don't worry about it, man. This is always
the way how it's always been.
It's always been, right? I left Chicago, and some of those same lieutenants that were telling me that were no longer lieutenants when I came back to Chicago because
they screwed up.
Yeah. So I got to Chicago and I learned those things. I left Chicago. I went to Coleman, and
that might be another whole podcast.
Coleman was unique, and I think that
what year did you get to Coleman? Oh my God.
2003. No, 2001.
Okay.
I got there. No, 2003. I got to Chicago 2001. Yep. I left in 2003 and got to Coleman in 2003. And, the USP 2 wasn't built. USP 1 was rocking and rolling. and it was much like what I had left in Florence.
Right.
It's the same thing. You couldn't hear yourself down the range. It was pure madness and chaos.
It was. Yep.
And you know, corruption doesn't slow down because you change locations. And once you see what it is and you recognize what it is, you say, these motherfuckers fucked this up because it doesn't have to be like this. Mm-hmm. So,
and I tell you, like, because we're on the same. I remember you used to relieve me.
Yes.
No, or other way around. I relieved you, I think.
Yeah, I remember that.
I relieved you.
Yes, I remember that.
And I was floored at what was going on at that place. Like I want to say my first or second day there on shift. I want to say it was evening watch, of course, because you know how that place was.
Oh my God,
I was on evening watch and SIS, KGB, CIA guys were in there, right?
Man, secret squirrels.
Yeah, and they're dressed in street clothes, and me not knowing anybody, I'm like, who the hell is this?
Who is this?
And I introduced myself. Oh yeah, I'm Lieutenant Schmuckatelli from SIS. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. Nice to meet you. And that's it, just like dead silence. I'm like, okay, this is interesting. And then you see things, you like, and that same thing. Hey man, when I'm on shift, don't do that crap around me.
Doing that shit.
Because guess what? I'm not going to jail for you.
That's right. Absolutely.
And that's exactly what was going on. And that's something we can talk about later. But man, those were some rough times.
And you
rough times.
What did you do to survive it? How did you get through it? What was your motivation?
Here we go. We're turning the tables.
I gotta know, because I got my experience. I know what I did.
I saw well, even the warden, Tracy Johns. You're a piece of shit. Fucking garbage. Complete garbage. All right. And I know he was like supposedly, God knows how, but he was some legend in the Bureau. Why, I don't know. Because the guy was a piece of shit. He tried to railroad me like you wouldn't believe. Because guess what I had to do? FBI comes to me after an incident. McDonald, we need to talk to you. I'm like, I wasn't here. I don't want to talk to you.
I want to talk.
I wasn't on shift.
Right.
I have nothing to say. Well, you need to cooperate on this investigation, or you can, the whole intimidation thing.
Right.
And all the crap that I saw, all the corruption that I saw, what was going on. I would go home at night and tell my wife at the time, I'd be like, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do.
Right.
Because I think I'm being set up. And I was like paranoid, like you would not believe. And
that's the worst.
I was already like,
that's the worst fucking feeling.
Already pretty, I don't want to say traumatized from the Marine Corps a little bit, but this was a next level.
It's next level.
Because now it's like, okay, in the Marine Corps, yeah, you might get shot, during training, you might accidentally get blown up or whatever, whatever. But this was something like, they're either going to kill your family, they're going to ruin your career, you're going to go to jail for something you probably don't even know about. Right. It was just bad, man. It was bad.
How long did that last?
About 5 years. Holy shit. About 5 years.
Holy shit.
And it was, and I remember relieving you, and I don't know if we really talked about it, but I think we were like on the same level, and I would just like sit there and shake my head. Because I was on SR1, which is the relief.
I remember
shift relief lieutenant with lovely Tuesday, Wednesday off for about 2.5 years.
I think the first time I remember relieving you, I think you were coming off morning watch. I remember seeing you. And I was
probably after a double too.
Yeah. And I was like, who is this dude? And I remember that. Mm-hmm. I remember, that was, Coleman was ugly in different ways.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
It was ugly in different ways. And you have to, when you get to those situations, I think looking back now, I wish I would have reached out to someone and said, because everybody has moments where they're in turmoil, where they're fucked up, whether it be the job or home life or both, because it's easy to take that job home.
Yeah, easy. Well, yeah, and then my experience. My wife worked there too, so my wife at the time worked there also. She worked at Penn too, which is a whole nother thing.
That's a whole nother story.
But
that's right.
It was just, to me, that was kind of like a defining moment to where, at the time I was a GS-11 lieutenant. I know my back was up against the wall. I had a lot of people against me, people I didn't even.
You didn't even know.
Didn't even know their name, and they were like, "Oh, you're McDonald." Yeah.
Like, how do you know me?
Yeah, like, okay.
So I'm going to go off track a little bit.
Ahead.
When you went to another place, did it follow you?
Yep.
See, yeah, because they call
It
it
was like a black cloud.
like a black cloud.
Yep. Because when I went to, so not to get into too much personal stuff, so I ended up going to Butner. I had to get out of Coleman any way possible, and the warden at the time, Tracy Johns, left. Right.
I remember Tracy.
They flushed the toilet.
I remember
like the turd he was. They sent him upriver, and guess where he goes? He goes to Butner.
He went to Butner.
Right.
I remember.
For some reason, I don't know why our paths had to cross again. So I had to go. Well, my wife at the time was living and working in North Carolina. So I was like, all right, I'm trying to get up there the best I can, because we were already separated for quite a while at that time. And so I get up there, and the only job they offered me was a GS-7 officer or a cook foreman. And I'm like 15 years in the bureau, right? I'm like, oh my God, bro, that's easy. That's an easy question. I'll be a cook foreman.
No shit.
6 to 2, 2 to 10, or no, not even 4 to 12, and 12 to about 12 to 7, 12 to 8.
12 to 8.
Yeah. So you're really not even working a full shift. And so I get up there, and it was funny though, because I don't know how they did it, but they finagled the deal to where I got to Butner without Tracy Johns even knowing.
Really?
I show up to Tracy Johns, or I show up at they assign me to, hey, you're going to and I'm going up there, and I'm like, man, I'm like, I know I'm going to run into this guy.
You're going to see him.
Yeah, I know I'm going to run into it. I'm like, just be you. Just be professional.
Right.
Just don't let him bother you. Even though
so hard to do.
Hard to do. Bro, I could not stand that guy. He was a dirtbag.
I'm telling stories out of turn here, but so we're in Florence, and we get a regional director's visit, and Tracy Johns is the warden, and Ray Holt is the regional director. We're in lockdown, and I'm in a lieutenant's office doing whatever it is that I do, and Tracy Johns is in there. Ray Holt walks in, like Ray Holt, he's got a big bravado. He says, "What's the matter, Tracy? I got to run your joint for you? Do I have to take the keys from you?" And they both walked out like that. He was not. Yeah. Warden, Holt was not happy with Tracy Johns. And I think shortly after that is when he got his walking papers.
I'm sure. And it was funny. I was, I was already 15 years in the bureau. I was GS-9 for like 2 years at Devon's, and then I was a GS-11 at Coleman for just a little over 5 years. So I had a lot of time as a supervisor, which doesn't really mean much, but still I was a supervisor, and then I'm stepping back into a cook foreman role because I just wanted to get out of Coleman.
Just to get away.
Just to get out of there. And I get up there, and at the time we had the baby blue shirts, and
I remember
and the blue dicky pants, and just looking like a fool, right? So, me being a professional and trying to fit in and being the good guy, show up with my tie on and my nice crest uniform,
Right.
all squared away.
Right.
You know, cook foreman's by policy. You're supposed to wear a hat
Right.
at all times. I had my BOP hat on. I had
You're ready.
boots all shined up. I was good to go, right?
Uh-huh.
I walk in there and they assign me over to the low. I'm over there at standing Mainline, right? Just kind of trying to figure things out because now I'm coming from the war zone of Coleman 1, which was a absolute nightmare.
It was a nightmare.
Then I go to a low at Butner, which is another spot where, oh, this is Butner. That's the way it's always been. That's the way it'll always be, right?
I fucking hate
So I get in there and I'm standing Mainline like, oh, all right, man. You know, trust me. And I was not saying, I wasn't like walking in like, oh, I was a lieutenant.
Right.
I'm like, I'm Joe Cook Foreman.
Right.
And I was, in my mind, I'm just like, don't tell anybody you got 15 years in the Bureau. Don't tell anybody you're a lieutenant.
Right.
So that's exactly what I did. So I'm standing on the main line, and here he comes. I could see him walking down the compound. I was like, there he is.
Here we go.
I was like, there he is. And I could just feel my blood just boiling. I just stood there, and I could see him too. He goes like this. And he locks eyes with me. He goes, I was like,
what?
And I went,
are you serious?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. And
oh, my God. Oh, my God.
So
what
I'm like, oh,
what a
yeah,
piece of work.
It's on now, right?
What a piece of work.
So I'm already know I'm like, all right, I'm screwed. All right. I'm screwed that I'm here now. And then I go about my business and being a good food dude, cook foreman, and a couple of lieutenants come up to me. Hey, McDonald, you used to be a lieutenant? Yeah. Well, why aren't you a lieutenant here? I said, go ask the warden. Right? I don't care.
That's a bold statement.
No. What's this guy? What's he gonna do to me?
What's he gonna do to you?
Right? So then,
I love it.
It was, and then the captain comes up to me. And we're small talking. He's like, "Oh, where'd you come from?" I said, "I just got up here from Coleman." "Oh, okay. So you know the warden?" I said, "Yeah." And he goes, "Yeah. Funny thing is like I was going through the captain's board. Your name is on there as qualified to be captain. How do you qualify to be a captain?" I said, so, I've been
right.
I've been in the Bureau for about 16 years now, and I was a GS9 lieutenant at Devon's, and I was a 11 at Coleman for about 5.5 years. You were? Yeah. That's how I qualify. He's like, oh, okay, and then I'm like, cool. I qualified as captain. They needed 2 captains, deputy captains at the time, right? So I'm just like, I have no shot in the world, right? I can't even get lieutenant because I already heard from, once the lieutenants kind of found out that I used to be lieutenant, they come up to me, hey man, why don't you put in, you want to work activities tonight? I was like, hell no. Right. I would be like, I see how you guys run this place. I ain't going to be no lieutenant. And then the word came out that, hey, McDonald's got nothing coming. If you ever put, and it came down, well, you know how the rumor mill is.
I know how that, yeah.
Inmate.com, that McDonald, that the warden told everybody, who was Tracy Johns, told everybody, even including HR, that McDonald has nothing coming and he will never be promoted while he's at Butner. Wow. But you know what I kept doing? I kept putting in for lieutenant, captain, whatever I could put in for, I put in for it. Just because I knew, hey, bro, you can't. I mean,
paper trail.
Yeah, you can't do nothing to me.
You can't do nothing to you.
Because right. I qualify for all these jobs. I don't want them, but I qualify for them. To me, it started to become a game. It was kind of funny. So
you have to find ways to deal with folks. And you know what I found too is that sometimes people in power, they want you to feel like you don't have an out. But you always have. There's always an option.
Always, and
always an option.
I kind of figured out it was more my attitude of, staying positive because I was so I think I was just not traumatized. I was just so like, people were just like, I mean, it was bad. It was bad.
I can only
It was
imagine.
bad.
I can only imagine.
And I'll tell you a story. All right. So I think you retired already. So when we were at Chicago together, they call me. Central office calls me up out of the blue. Hey, McDonald, this is da 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 from Central office. Yeah, man, what's up? He goes, hey, I got this special trip. You think you'd be available to go down to Coleman for emergency preparedness assessment? Because I know your background's in EPO and stuff like that. It's like, yeah, man. When is it? It's like, whatever date. It's like, cool. I'm like, I'm going back to Coleman.
Going back to Coleman.
Right? So I didn't think nothing of it. It wasn't even in my mind that I was, being set up or anything like that. I'm like, all right, I'm going to go in there. I'll put my EPO hat back on.
Right.
Lieutenant hat back on, captain hat on, and go down there and just see what's going on and do what they asked me to do. So I get down there. Man, the first thing I do, they send me over to Pen 1, right?
Of course.
We do a little quick tour of Pen 1, and I'm like running into all these people. McDonald, what the hell are you doing here?
Right.
Giving me hugs and this and that, talking. And the guys from Central Office, they're like,
who the hell is this dude?
like, who are you? Like, McDonald, who are you? I'm like, what do you mean, who am I? I used to work down here. I worked here for like 5.5 years. I was like, you did? Yeah. Hey, we got to go to, okay, let's go. We'll go to Pen 2. Go to Pen 2. Same thing.
Same thing. Everybody.
McDonald,
what's up?
man.
You're a fucking good captain.
And then freaking, like, lieutenant. I'm talking to this dude in the hallway, one of my good friends, Brian. We're in the hallway for like 30 minutes just jaw-jacking. And they're like, they're coming, hey, we're going to go down here. I'm like, yeah, man, go ahead. It's just around there. I know where it is.
Right.
And it's just funny, man. It's just like
everybody knows.
Everybody knew me. And then, so the second day, we leave that day, and that call comes in. Somebody makes a call. And the next day we go into the conference room, and the guy from Central Office, he goes, hey, McDonald, were you were a lieutenant here? I said, yep. He goes, were you involved in that Sharma incident? I said, was I involved? As far as what? Did I go to court? Yes. I said, if you want to go down this road, let's go down this road now. He goes, well, this is what we need you to do. I was like, what do you mean? What do you mean you need me to do what? He goes, don't get upset. I said, well, I'm already past upset because I think I already know what you're going to say. Well, we didn't realize how involved you were in that incident, and we kind of need you to just stay in the conference room. I said, for what? Well, some people are very upset that you're here. I said, oh, the people that were involved and covered things up and didn't do the fucking right thing? So you want me to just stay in here and waste your money and time? No, I'm not doing that. I said, actually, I got all these working papers.
I'm going out.
I'm leaving right now, and I'm going into Penn.
Absolutely.
And guess what? I seen all of them. They're like lined up for me. All the ones that were
Get the hell out of here.
Oh, yeah, they were right there.
Trying to intimidate you.
Yeah. Like,
oh,
hey,
my God.
I just walked, hey, how you doing? Good morning. Walked in the lieutenant's office. McDonald, what's up, man?
What's happening?
I heard you were here, but I didn't believe it. Why'd they send you here? I said, oh, I'm doing this assessment. Come here to unfuck you guys. Because I know how this place is. They're like, yeah, right. Man, not much has changed. I'm like, yeah, I can see that already. And it's like the first thing I was like, hey, let me see your lieutenant's camera. The power, you guys going to charge these batteries if something happens? Man, you already got us? Yeah, I already got you.
So, what did it feel like, though, being in that environment? So you're in that, all these emotions. Tell me how you felt inside.
I felt great. Because,
Redemption.
It wasn't even that, because what was I being accused of or whatever, people, their perception of me, whatever. I didn't do anything. Like,
You're the innocent.
Like the FBI comes to me after that homicide, and they're like, and I asked them too. I said, "What's his name? Agent Raby."
I remember Jim Raby.
Jim Raby. Yep. He goes. I asked him. I said, Jim, why are you asking me all these questions? He's like, you're the only one who told us the truth.
Oh my God.
I said, well, unfortunately, I don't want to be in this situation.
Oh my God.
But I mean, it says it right there. I mean, to me, when I raised my right hand and I swore to defend the Constitution and all the other crap you got to say, I kind of take that to heart. Which you've been in my ART classes, and guess what we did?
That's right.
We raised our hand and we said the oath. Why?
That's right.
Because you work for a government agency.
That's right. And you have a standard
and you have to do these things.
Yeah.
What are you going to just cover things up so people get killed or a staff member gets hurt or whatever happens? I mean,
right.
It's alarming to me to even see. I think that still goes on today.
Absolutely.
And I mean, I see it now. Just even before I left, the things I would hear, and I would just shake my head like, I can't believe this is still going on.
I think you touched on it earlier. I think you said it the right way the first time. Do your job and tell other people to do theirs while they're in front of you. If you're going to do some bullshit, take it somewhere else. Yep. Because it's too easy to get in trouble and fuck it up really hard, really quick. Do your job. And
you're going to catch up. A lot of people are going to get caught up in that too. Yeah. Which is, to me, is unfortunate because there's some really, really, really good people out there.
Yes.
I'm not talking
yes,
a good employee or a good CEO or a good supervisor. They're just good people.
Right.
But they're put in a situation where they either don't know what to do or they don't want to do anything at all.
Right.
And like I said earlier, if you don't do anything,
that may be worse than
you're
making
still going to get caught up in it.
You're still going to get caught up in
whatever you want to call it, failure to report. I mean,
too many times.
We've seen it too many times, Carl. We have.
I've seen it too many times, and like you said, good people get caught up.
And it's funny, and you can go around, and the old. I hate when people tell them stories about the USP and this and that. Fuck the USP.
Got no idea,
bro. If you've never worked in a USP, and you've never seen the violence that humans can do on each other,
that's right.
with no weapons or edged weapons that they made by melting a
piece of plastic,
a cup.
That's right.
Or a pair of headphones from a Walkman.
We used to call them. They would make those bone crushers.
Oh yeah, they go right through you.
Rib splitters.
Yep. And it's funny how, and people always said that I don't give a shit about no USP.
Just because you haven't worked one.
Bro, you never worked there, man. I'm not saying it's like the best thing in the world, but if you want to learn how to be a hacker, how to actually jail, that's where you're gonna go.
Yes, you have.
That is where you're gonna go.
I thank goodness every day I started at a USP because I probably been worthless.
I mean, I probably met. I met a lot of good people over 28 years. I mean, I've met more good people than bad.
Yes.
I met some great people, and some of the best people were at USPs.
Absolutely, no question.
And like my mentors were
all USP
from USP.
Absolutely.
Or they have that USP experience where
they
just know, hey man, this is what we got to do. Let's go do it.
Same with me. USP.
We'll go do it.
I might be a little bit biased in that way, but absolutely, because it's easy to come down when you know what you're dealing with in an inmate and how to deal with those situations. It's hard. I see people struggle when they have to come from lower levels
to go up in the security level. Definitely. Because like even like I know with all my bad experiences in the bureau, most of them were at USPs because that's where bad shit happens.
No question.
To good people.
That's
and it was just like
very well said.
It was like, man, like I can't believe I'm involved in this
and it happens so quickly.
Yeah.
It's
you don't even see it coming.
You don't see it coming.
You could be day watch ops and you're just like
Been there, done that.
Like, wow. Like,
what just happened?
I can't believe that just happened. And
I think for new staff, it's important, like you were saying, for them to hear that and then to know that there's a way through it.
Mm-hmm. Right? Oh yeah, I think the keeping that positive mindset of, and it doesn't matter what security, if being at a camp or whatever, wherever you are, if you're positive,
yeah,
good things are going to happen. If you're negative, that shit is going to follow you like you wouldn't believe.
You know
what?
It
is going to fucking follow you.
I'm glad you said
that. It haunts
that.
you. It does.
Every day.
Fucking haunt you.
I remember we were locked down in Florence. I was a rookie. And we're just sitting around. There was a group of us. And we probably shouldn't have been sitting in the bubble, but we were inside the middle area, right? And I heard these two staff members talking. We were all officers at the time, like GS 5, 6. And all these inmates are locked down. And these guys are saying amongst themselves, I don't give no inmate no fucking toilet paper. I got toilet paper. I ain't give no inmate no fucking toilet paper. Really? You're gonna cause you're potentially gonna blow up your whole unit that's locked down over a roll of toilet paper. Give the motherfucker some toilet paper. He wants to wipe his ass. He's not gonna,
It would.
And those, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead, bro.
Those little things like that are the things that cause tension for no fucking reason.
Oh yeah.
And
get somebody hurt.
And get somebody hurt, and all of a sudden you're in the fucking funny papers over a fucking roll of toilet paper.
And
little shit.
When I was at Pollock, at USP Pollock, like, it was funny how, I mean, the violence at Pollock was like,
I heard,
unreal.
I heard,
next level. And Carver Hall was our warden at the time, and I remember we were in we're like in a briefing, of course, on a lockdown, like we were quite a bit. And in lockdowns, people think, oh, lockdowns, fuck them.
Right.
You ain't gonna give them shit. Guess what?
You work harder.
Carver Hall said it that day. Hey, guess what? These people are still humans, and you're still gonna provide what you're supposed to provide for them. They are human beings, and you're gonna treat them like human beings.
That's right.
And if they do something out of line, we'll do what we have to do.
That's right. You deal with it.
But if they need toilet paper, you're going to give them fucking toilet paper. They need their food, you're going to give them their food.
It's easy.
And there's so many. I mean, before I left, I saw the newer staff coming in, and I think it might be like a cultural thing now, where people are a little bit more. I guess you could call it sensitive. Sensitive to people's needs, maybe, which was good. But then at the same time, they're being taken advantage of like you would not believe, because these inmates are just playing fucking games.
That's right.
All day long.
And see, again, that's the learning curve that you have to go through, I think, at a penitentiary quickly.
Right.
Because you got your wits and you got your asshole, and if you don't use one, the other is going to get used.
Oh yeah.
So it's one or the other, and you come up to speed once you got it. Once you learn the code, right? You got the cheat codes. It's easy after that, but it's getting there.
Yeah,
it's getting there.
Yep.
And as a senior staff, it's another level. At your level, mid-level and senior level is another level of cheat codes that you go through. Because now you're not dealing with us and them. You're dealing with us, them, and them.
Oh yeah.
So it's a sandwich. Sandwich.
I mean, even when I was a lieutenant, it was like, like what the warden is saying. It's like, you want to. How was it put to me? It was like, if the warden wants you to do something, take that, empower yourself. What the warden wants you to do, all right. Hopefully it's the right thing, because there's probably some bad things going on out there, which I've been a part of. But empower that and say, it's your idea.
It's your idea.
Say this, hey guys, this is what we're going to do.
This is what we're doing.
You're the shoe lieutenant.
Own it.
Excuse me. You're the shoe lieutenant. Go down there. Hey, this is what we need to do tonight. X, Y, and Z.
That's
Not
right.
A, B, and C.
That's right.
Tomorrow might be A, B, and C, but tonight's X, Y, and Z.
That's right.
That's what we got to handle. And a lot of people don't take advantage of that to empower themselves. And then, just like when I got to Chicago, like, hey, remember I blessed everybody. And people are like, this guy's crazy. Like, no, I'm blessing you, okay?
To empower you.
I'm knighting you, all right? you are empowered to do your job.
That's right.
Do your job.
That's right.
Because if you're doing your job correctly, nothing bad is going on. I'm not going to say squat to you.
That's right.
I'll come in, hey, what's going on? How are you guys? I'm going to treat you very, very well. And it was funny how, like, I mean, I think you even did it too, because I remember when you were a lieutenant, you were like very emotional, like slamming the desk. And that passion, people saw that. Like, hey, this guy is for real. You know, he's here to make sure we're okay.
Yeah. Everybody goes home. That's the first thing I was taught. Everybody goes home.
Yep. And people nowadays, I don't think they don't see that, or they haven't experienced it yet, maybe. And it's unfortunate.
That's interesting.
Because I mean, I think there's a lot of officers, and there's probably a lot of lieutenants and things like that haven't broke that cycle where they're, they're in charge.
Yes.
Instead of like, you know what, let me build a relationship with these people.
Yes.
And then I'm going to empower them
to do their job.
Because I'll tell you what, that's the best way to run a freaking jail. No matter what level it is.
That's right. That's right. I think you're right.
It doesn't matter what level it is.
You know, that's very interesting, because, again, I think that's a great point. People don't understand, new correctional officers, they don't understand their power, right? And you got inmates messing with you, they're playing games, all the rest of that kind of crazy shit. But once you understand you're in charge, and they really, I mean, I hate to put it like this, but it breaks it down in simple terms. The place is going crazy, right? You could take your keys, walk out that door, and they wouldn't survive a week. They're dead. You are in charge when you're in that place, and they know it.
Yeah.
And this is the thing.
Even if you're a GS5 officer, brand new.
Yep. You're in charge, and they want to see you in charge.
Yep. They want that.
Because they want to feel safe. Yep. If they know that you're in charge, they feel safe. And the place usually calms down. Yeah. Staff the same way. And I can say this from being acting captain to a lieutenant, all the way down, and seeing other people operate that job. If you feel empowered, man, I can't get accomplished.
Nobody's gonna touch you.
I can't. There's nobody that can. And that's why I liked having you as a captain, because I knew that even if I slipped and fucked up, which everybody does, it's not the end of the planet.
Nope. We're gonna fix it.
You fix it and you press on, because if you get help, if it's something serious, you got to deal with it. But if it's bullshit, that's because there's other shit out there that you have to you're gonna have to tackle. You can't get caught back here when you got 900 inmates. Out on the compound, whatever the fucking deal is. Chicago 800, but I enjoyed that. I enjoyed working for you.
Appreciate that.
It was a good time, and I know you've been through you've been through some shit. You've been through some shit. What was your most rewarding?
How about you? What's your most rewarding? This ain't about me. It's about you,
man. You got great stories though, and I love hearing them. And you got a story to tell. I love that. I'd have to think about that. My most rewarding moment in the bureau wise, I'd have to say probably when I retired, because people at that time said, you know what? I really thank you.
Yeah.
Right. Some people that were struggling.
And people would come out of the woodwork too, like you didn't even realize.
You didn't even know it.
Yeah.
Or you get an email or a call from somebody that you'd forgotten about. Hey man, I heard about what happened. Just thank you for being there.
Right.
Shit like that. And those moments that when you touch somebody and you make an impact in their life, and then they turn around and thank you, and you didn't even know you had an impact in it. Those are more, and I'm not talking about just staff. Now, I'm going to tell you stories. In Coleman, I'm in Walmart, and I'm pushing my little cart, and I'm not wearing a gun or anything like that. I'm shopping, and and I see a former inmate, and he's got a cartload of shit. He's got his baby there, his wife.
Yeah.
And I'm in one of those moments like, oh, fuck,
Here we go.
Here we fucking go.
Yeah.
And he stopped the car and he said, Williams, man, how you doing? I said, I'm good. I said, man, you know what? I'm glad to see you out. He said, thank you, too. He said, you know what? I got to say, you were hard as fuck, but you were always fair. And I really appreciate that. And then he introduced me to his family. This is my daughter. This is my wife, right? And he said, thank you again, and kept it moving. If you're doing it right, everybody knows it. Or at least you're trying to make a difference, right? I'm not saying that I'm perfect. I'm not saying that I did it perfect right all the time. I'm just saying my way worked for me.
Yep.
This is the way that I did it. If you fuck up, I'm going to let you know. Then we're going to move past it. If you're an inmate, you fuck up, I'm going to try to correct it before it gets worse, and we're going to move on and get past it. Whatever you got coming, you got coming. Sometimes it's another tray because that one was fucked up. Sometimes it's a roll of toilet paper. Sometimes you're going to get you got to get gas in a team. If you got it coming, that's what it is. And I let them know that.
Yep.
You're out of pocket. I do that with staff. If you're out of pocket, you got it coming. I try to let staff know, listen, if you have a problem, you have an issue, I'm calling the AP. This is what you need to do because it's going to get out of control. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But if you just take a little bit of time and let people know that you notice and you care, those things come back to you. Appreciate you, Williams.
Right.
I really thank you for that. So why I don't have really a specific proud moment, I got many little pricks.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And I like that.
Yeah. I mean, I worked in nine facilities. 2 of them were in Danbury, so 7 different ones, So
now that if it's a lower institution and a higher institution at the same place, that's 2 different institutions. That's 2.
So when I went to when I left Pollock, kind of like the same thing where I got there as a that's another funny story. When I was I'll tell you.
Pollock sounded like a shit show.
When I was a food dude, cook foreman at Butner, I was itching, man. I was itching. I was like, damn, I'm so fucking bored. I'm so bored. Like, I know I can do more. And it was funny. I mean, I could talk about it all day, but here's a real good story. Is like when I went to I forget I think I went to the medium 1 or 2 or one of those institutions there, and the guy, and I didn't, I just got there, right? And they're kind of like, hey, we're gonna move you over here today. You're gonna go cover this shift today. I'm like, okay, no problem. Yes, sir. I'm like all motivated, right? Because I'm a food dude, so
right.
So I go to the other institution, and they're like, I walk in the front lobby, and I go up to control. It's like, hey, I'm here for the PM dining officer. He goes, yeah, the guy in the control center. I go, yeah, man, I just need the keys. He goes, what's the key number? I said, sorry, I don't know what the key number is. I just got here 2 days ago. Well, you better find out because I ain't giving you shit. Okay. Thanks, man. Appreciate it. Go over to the phone. Hey, it's McDonald. Hey, I'm relieving you. What's the key number? And radio and everything else. Da-da-da-da-da. I'm like, all right. Go up there, put my little chits in there. I was like, hey, man, I need Charlie 25 and radio 245. That's the way you're supposed to do it, rookie. I'm like, okay, thanks. Appreciate it, man.
Wow.
I'm like, what's your name? Oh, yeah.
Wow.
I got you, bro. I got you.
Wow.
So remember, if you're listening to this, the way you treat people, it will come back on you like you would not believe. Because I've been on both sides. When I was younger, a lot of times I probably said some bad things to bad people, or I treated them bad, whatever. And I realized, like, that's not the way to do it.
That's right.
You have to communicate with people. You have to find a relationship with people, and you have to build that relationship, or the job's going to be even harder. So this dude was like, all right, cool, man. So I go in there, I do my shift, and probably I don't know, probably a month later or so. A month later, I'm working the camp. And the way they count the camp is like something I'd never seen before with 15, 16 years in the Bureau. And I call accounting. I'm by myself, and I'm counting with the camp officer.
Uh-huh.
He don't know me from Chuck. And McDonald and Johnson, Camp Food Service, 25. Bad count. Okay, I'll recount. Click. 1, 2, 3, 4. 25. Johnson, what'd you get? 25. Okay. Camp Food Service. Total count of 25. McDonald and Johnson. Bad count. Click. So I'm like, what the fuck? And even the inmates, dude, were like, McDonald, is everything all right? I'm like,
frustrated by now, right? Yeah.
Yeah, man, everything's all right, dude. Just you be the inmate. I got you. I've counted a few. I've counted a few joints before.
I've done this before.
And I'm like, 1, 2, 3, 25. 1, 2, 3, 25. 1, 2, 3, 25. Bed books. 25. Johnson, you call it.
Right.
I ain't calling it. All right, dude. 25. Camp Food Service. Bad count. Standby. Okay. Operations Lieutenant Smith. Hey, Smith, how you doing? It's McDonald Camp Food Service. Hey, man, what's going on over there? No, he's activities lieutenant. I said, well, I got 25 inmates. This is the 4 p.m. count. There's 25 bodies in front of me, living, breathing bodies, that are standing up right now in front of me. And I'm calling the counting. Well, that's not how we count here. Okay, well, since I've been here for about a week, tell me how you guys count in the BOP.
So we can figure this out.
Okay. Click.
Nuh-uh.
Then I'm like, all right, fuck this shit. Hey, you guys go back to work. Get the meal ready, da-da-da, whatever. Ring, ring. Hey, it's operations lieutenant, whatever. I'm like, hey, what's up, Schmuckatelli? And he goes, hey, McDonald, I know you're new here, man, but this is how they do it. It goes like, if you have A dorm, B dorm, C dorm, it's like 12 from A dorm, 10.
The breakdown. They want the breakdown.
Okay. You know what, dude? I really appreciate that, LT, but that's all your control room officer had to say to me. All right. So, boom, A to N. He's like, that's better. Click. Oh, hell. And it's the same dude with the chits, with the keys. All right. So I'm like, okay.
He's playing games.
Okay. Dude, I'm like Milton Bradley. I can play games all day long. I'm like a pro at it. So here it is. Annual firearms training. Guess who the lead firearms instructor is?
Here we go.
It's Glenn McDonald.
Here we go. Here we go.
Joey Bag of Donuts shows up. Bang, 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 bang. Doesn't qualify. Hey, I'll give you one more shot. Yeah, that's it.
That's it.
Bang, 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 bang. Right? Doesn't qualify. Comes over to me later. He goes, hey, man, this in Butner, being a medical facility, it's always overtime. Money, 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 because inmates at the hospital.
You don't qualify, that's your money.
He goes, hey, man, I really need this money. I said, that's good. I said, you get 2 shots. Then I'm going to do remedial training. When you are reassigned to come back out to the range, I will be here, and we will try to shoot you 2 more times till you qualify. And that's all you're going to get. That's by policy. You get 4 chances. That ain't right. I said, anyways, goodbye. Have a good day.
That's the reg.
Man, and that just shows you the way you treat somebody. And I wasn't going out intentionally. I didn't cover his score. I didn't do anything to his score because he just couldn't fucking shoot. That's it. In the year before, probably somebody said, hey man, no problem.
And squared him off.
Yeah, here's your 247. Good job.
And that's another, I love that story because my mentor in Florence, he said, whether it's staff or whether it's inmate, right? They're not going anywhere. Don't be worried if they get on your nerves because they're going to need you more than you need them.
Yeah.
So don't get ruffled up about it, right? You're still in control, and that's a perfect story about how you treat folks.
Oh yeah, yeah. Even like when I was in Pollock, I was 11 lieutenant there because to go back to Butner. So I'm itching to get the hell out of Butner because I was so bored. So I asked my boss Hank Simmons. I said, Hank, he goes, hey. I said, hey man, I'm bored to death. I got to get out of here. I'm like doing nothing.
Right.
I'm at the camp. Right.
Oh my God.
He goes, what do you want to do? I said, I want to go back to be a lieutenant. He goes, where do you want to go? I said, I want to go to the worst place in the country right now. He goes, he's like, all right, let me make some calls. Worst place in the country is Pollock. I said, I'll go. I said, I want to go back as a lieutenant. And they picked me up as a lieutenant. Right. And it just shows you, man, just like that. I mean, the way me and Hank communicated was awesome. Giant of a man. He's probably 6'8", 6'9", probably.
Huge.
Just a big dude.
Monster.
Big dude. Soft as a little teddy bear. You'd look at him and be like, I ain't going to screw with this guy. And that dude was so awesome. So awesome. And he helped me get there just because, we had a good line of communication, the way we talked to each other, the way we respected each other, everything. So, and that was another thing where I was leaving there and people were like, man, why do you got to leave?
Right.
You've changed this whole department.
Right.
I said, it's not just me, man. It's you. You can do it. But you can do it.
Leadership, though, is...
Even as a cook foreman, I wasn't even an assistant administrator. I wasn't an administrator. I was just a food dude. That's it. Covering shifts. And the way I started running that place, I made sure, I don't want to say like I ran it, but I made sure even with my fellow cook foreman, hey man, the quality of the meal is going to be top notch. I'm not serving shit.
Right.
We're not doing it.
Right.
Because I've been in places where we served shit and all hell broke loose.
And it only causes problems. That's all it does.
And you know what, damn it? We freaking lined up every day. We put the food out there. We inspected the food before we opened Mainline. It was good to go.
No issues.
Not one issue.
No issues.
None.
If you do it the way that you're supposed to, it's really an easy job.
And then it's funny because like when I got to Chicago, I was like, what is this, man? This ain't food, dude. Come on, what the hell is this crap? Oh my God, it was like a different world, man.
That was
different world.
The food quality. I don't know whether it was the Bureau, whether it was Chicago. It definitely got worse.
Oh yeah.
It definitely changed.
Yeah, I mean they went to some national menu and just kind of went
apart.
downhill, and it, and I mean I felt bad sometimes for those inmates. Dude's like 240 pounds, strong as an ox. He's like eating one piece of chicken leg.
One chicken leg and
then there's nothing.
A piece of bread.
Like there's nothing on the hot bar. There's no rice and beans. There's no nothing.
It's terrible. I tell you what, more.
Hey man, I'm sorry. That's all we got.
I cannot tell you how many times in shoes
were
teetering on the edge because the meal was fucked up.
Oh yeah, all the time. Too many times. That food is a huge deal. Yeah, it's a terrible, and it seems like it's easy to fix. Yeah, it is. It is because it's like when I was at Butner, I was watching what was going on, and I would see all the leftover food that was left over, and they just throw everything away. And then I was like, one day I was like, stop. I was like, stop. Go in there, get all that stuff, and throw it in this pot. We're gonna make soup.
Make soup. Use it.
And we called it reefer soup. Refrigerator soup. All right. Anything that was in the refrigerator, we threw it in the soup. And man, they loved that shit.
They loved it.
We'd run out all the time. And we'd make probably 10, 15 pans of it.
Were you at Florence at the time? Fisher was there in food service at Penn 1?
Fisher, yeah.
I forget his first name.
Rennie Garcia was the original administrator, and then I think he came after him.
Fisher would do stuff like that too.
Yeah.
He back then they didn't have a national menu, and he would go to places that had food that was about to expire and buy it like that.
Buy it all out. Yeah.
And there were times at the staff lounge The line was out the door,
Yeah. Oh yeah.
down the hall,
Oh,
and
yeah.
around the corner.
Yep. It's the way it should be.
It's the way it should be. It was good food.
Yeah. I mean, we did that back in when I worked at Danbury. When I first started the bureau in '93, I started as a cook foreman, and this guy Al Clemmer, Bill Francisco, Alvin Young. It's amazing how I can still remember these.
Yeah.
And Mikey Barber were all the administrators or. And man, they would put chow out like you would not. It was like a freaking 3-star restaurant because I mean it's prison food. But back then it was all mafia dudes. So man, I mean like spaghetti dinners.
They
oh
had
my
the hook
god,
up.
bro!
I remember
it was insane.
I remember Fisher would do the same thing, and they would on the holiday meals. I don't remember having an incident on a holiday meal. They were too fat. Everybody was too fat, including the staff. Everybody was fat and happy. Everybody sat up there and watched the game. Thanksgiving, there was not a peep.
No, everyone dead asleep.
Everybody dead asleep.
And that, even with that, like if you're a lieutenant or even an officer, I mean, I can't stress it enough to like build that relationship with those cook foremen. Because I mean, how many times have we heard it at Chicago?
That's a good point.
Where it's like, hey, this is whatever. What was I can't even remember some of the dorms now.
19.
Yeah, like, hey, Unit 19, the food service. Yeah, go ahead. Hey, I need 10 more trays. Negative.
I ain't got it.
And then call down there, and people be yelling at each other over the radio. I'm like, what the hell is going on, man?
Craziness.
I know you got extra food. I know you're gonna throw it away. Like I used to be you. I used to do that job.
Give me a tray. I need a
Come
tray.
on, it's easy.
It's easy.
It's easy.
It's really, really easy.
And it would just be like, I mean, you could win over a unit with just some good chow.
You really could.
Yeah. And officers and lieutenants should need to build that relationship with different departments like that.
That's right.
Because that's what's going to save your ass. It really is.
It absolutely does.
Because we had during COVID, lovely COVID in the bureau. Wow, what a mess.
Ooh.
We come in one day. Everyone in food service is sick. Right? They all got the COVID. Everybody. So, guess what? I put my chef hat on. Miss Blakeney puts her hat on. We go down there, start slinging hash.
Been there, done that.
Oh man, we made some good food too. And the inmates were like, "Damn, that was good food."
That
man.
was good. Well,
I think we worked down there. I don't know if it was like 2 or 3 days because I know I was down there 2 days, definitely 2 days.
Really, and that long.
And a lot of the officers, not officers, but like some staff from recreation were helping me. We just had a good time. It was fun, making all kinds of food. It was good.
I remember being at Florence, and I wanted to make some money, and so they said they had overtime in food service.
Yeah,
and I worked one day back there, 12-hour shift. I made some good money, and at the end of the day, I said, I'm never doing that again. I busted my ass. I didn't even eat lunch.
Yeah.
I didn't eat.
Oh, you work. You're working. You are working.
It was constant because we were in lockdown. I think we started off making like 2,400 sandwiches. And then we did, that was for breakfast. Then we did the noon meal. Then we cleaned up.
Damn. Yeah.
Pouring drinks in the fucking cups.
Yep.
All that crazy shit. Best before the powder packets. I busted my ass. I said, you know what? Fuck food service.
I'm out of here. Fuck this shit.
I can't
I like
do
the
this.
money, but I'm out.
I'm out. But yeah, those honestly, when you have to improvise and make shit happen, that was my funnest times in the bureau.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yep.
I love that shit.
Yeah, and it takes a team too. You know, not just by yourself, but usually somebody else was right beside you, helping you out and getting through that mess that you're in.
You said something else I meant to touch on. Staying around positive people. I think that helps me too. That helped me. You hear a lot of negative shit all the time.
All day long.
It's not going to shorten your day.
No.
You're still going to have to be there all that time. So stay engaged with positive people and get it done. Keep it going.
And I mean, I've even seen that to where, especially in like when I went to when I went to Yazoo, that place was. I went to Yazoo after Pollock. I went there as a deputy captain, and I show up to Yazoo, and the place was terrible. I mean, just the way it was run.
I heard it was crazy.
Just the way it was run, it was just terrible. I made
crazy.
some pretty good friends there. You know why? Because I showed up and I was positive. Like the first day I was there, I'm not bullshitting you. I'm sitting in my office, unpacking my stuff, putting it away, and this young lady comes to my door. Hey, Captain. I said, hey, how are you? Captain McDonald, nice to meet you. Why don't you come in, take a seat, let's talk. She goes, first thing out of her mouth. She goes, I heard you're a racist.
What?
And she's like the vice president of the union or whatever.
What?
I'm like, well, you know what? It was really nice to meet you. But I'm going to be out here. And I like walked outside my office. I said, when you're done in my office, just close the door behind you. And I just walked out there and just stood there and waited. She walked out, just went on her merry way. And I was just like, wow. My first day, man. I mean, like within hours.
That's crazy shit.
This is some crazy shit.
Oh,
and I was like, all right, now let me re-strategize what I'm gonna have to do there. Like, I need to adjust my tactics.
What a welcoming committee
on how to address this. Because I mean, if you know me, I mean,
yeah, that's not you.
I to this day, it bothers me when I hear that. Like, oh, you're a racist. I mean. Anytime I walked on the range and shoot, oh, McDonald, you're a racist. And I would just like laugh it off. Like, yeah, man, I'm a racist. That's me. Right? That's me. It was so funny all the time. I heard it so much.
I used to hear a lot of different shit, a lot of different ways. I think what bothered me the most, honestly, about racist shit in the Bureau was Florence. And I'm going to tell you why. When I got to Florence, inmates were telling me, right? An inmate told me, he said, you know, we got a lot of issues on this compound, but you're black. You don't ever have to worry about anything happening to you. I'm a boot rookie. Like, what the fuck am I listening to?
What the hell's going on here?
What the hell is going on here? And I'm trying to process what he's saying. Like, is this place that fucked up? What am I getting myself into? If it goes down, this motherfucker's telling me I'm on their side. You don't have to worry about it. It gets better. So I had a friend, and we came in together. And he's a white dude. And if you look at him, Greg Emberton, I love him to this day. Yep. Greg Emberton. Yep. Greg said, you know what, Carl? I was on a compound and this white inmate came up to me and he said, are you down with the Woods? And he said,
Tiger Woods? Oh, my God, bro.
Greg Emberton is a white dude. And Greg looked at him like I looked at the black dude. What do you mean? He said, man, he asked me if I was down with the Peckerwoods, if I was down with the white dudes. He said, they don't know me. That I look like this. He said, I have grandkids that are black. Right, my daughter's married to, I have people in my family. I don't do that shit. And it shocked me that the inmates divided us like that.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean,
I wasn't expecting that.
Everyone, I mean,
so
it runs like that.
It runs like that, but we don't need the inmates dividing us.
No.
Right? Mm-hmm. That's that shit over there. Mm-hmm. This is this wall that everybody on this side of the wall goes home. Yep. And that shit is for the birds. Leave that shit alone. Oh yeah. Because everybody that puts on that uniform has got a fucking life. Regardless of how you feel about them, you may need that motherfucker.
You're gonna need that person.
You're gonna need him.
So, either it's gonna be your relief one day, where you're like, I can't stand that dude. He's a racist, or he's this, or she's that, and blah, 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 blah. And then all of a sudden you don't show up. Guess what? I got you. Now you're working a double, or whatever the hell. Because I haven't heard it before I left, before I retired. An officer that I kind of respected, thought he was a good dude, said I was a racist. I was like, and somebody told me that in confidence. They're like, hey, that guy says you're a racist. I was like, really? Okay, that's cool.
Did you confront him?
Bro, I didn't say a goddamn thing to him. And you know what? He knew it too. He knew I knew. Because before I left, right before I left, he came up to me. He's like, hey, man, I'm really sorry that I thought you were like that. I said, bro, you don't even know me. I said, and you never will now. I said, goodbye. Because, I mean, it's like, I don't understand it. Like how you can work in an environment in a prison and there's still a racial tension between people. I don't give a shit who you are. Like when I was in Yazoo, it really woke me up.
The South?
It really woke me up.
Let me tell you.
It's worse. It's worse there than it was in Florida. Florida is at least a little bit better of a melting pot, but yeah, Mississippi,
I've heard,
was just, you were either on the white side or you were on the black side. That's it. That's it.
I've heard that about that place, right? I've only driven through there, bus rides. I've never been there, like, you know, any extended period. Yeah. But you can see coming through, and it's Mississippi. That, unfortunately for us in this country, that's what it is.
Right.
You know, I'm here to say, working in the bureau, I don't give a fuck.
No.
Because again, this is just my experience. Everybody goes home. I don't give a fuck if you're black, if you're white, if you're brown. That doesn't make any difference to me. If you're a racist or not, I don't give a fuck, because you're part of my team. Right. And I need you on my team. All of that shit for me, it goes to the side. People will call me racist. They call me a snitch, right? They call me all sorts of different things. And I've heard that my entire bureau career. I had to get to the point for me, the way that I broke through it, is I said, I don't give a fuck.
Yep.
I had to let it go, because I was carrying that weight with me. Everything that people were telling me that I was, I knew that I wasn't. And I can't carry that weight. If you want to think that I'm a racist, that's fine. If you don't like me, then that's fine. Mm-hmm. And for me, I always feel like I get redemption in the end, like you did. You're never gonna fucking know me, right? Or I get a chance to prove myself in another way. Fuck that dude. Fuck him. Fuck her. Whatever the case might be. I don't have time for that shit in my life. I have enough shit going on here. I don't need to be worried about your fucking racist ass bullshit. Calling me racist, calling me whatever the fuck you want to. I don't give a fuck. Right? I have a home. I have a life. You don't sign my paycheck. Right. Fuck you.
Yep.
So that's how I dealt with it. And it's hard to try to be humble and not be angry when somebody does that to you.
Oh, because as soon as you see him, you're like, all right, man. I know where you're at. Yeah.
And again, being in the bureau and going to Florence, I saw a lot of that too, especially getting there. I remember walking down the hall, the same individual who had cowboys written on his chest. Yeah. I was a rookie, and he walked up to me, and I said, "Hi, I'm a new boot rookie." He looked me up, he looked me down, and walked right past me. Never said a word. I appreciated that. I'm going to tell you why, because I don't have to worry about you. I know who the fuck you are.
You know who you are. Oh, yeah.
After it's all said and done, Hope told me that same individual walked in his office, got on his hands and knees, and cried and begged to have the U.S. attorney get off his ass. He said he sat there in that office and told me, please, because I don't want to go to jail, and sat there and cried. That same motherfucker. So, I don't have time for it. Those people, to me, they always get theirs in the end. You know, I don't feel like I have a racist bone in my body, and there's nobody that can tell me that. I don't see that in you. You understand what I'm saying? And anybody that sees that or feels that,
you're never gonna know me.
I honestly, I have good friends. Everybody says I got a good friend that's black or white or whatever the case might be. I got friends that are black, that are white. Yeah. I grew up in Elgin. I got friends that I grew up in a melting pot, right? Black, white, Hispanic. If you, our clique, was sports.
Right.
If you can't play sports,
Yeah.
you gotta get the fuck out.
Yeah, you ain't no good.
Right? You can't catch a ball.
Right.
I see when I see you. So that sort of shit, it wears you down. It wears you out. It drags.
It does.
It's painful to watch. It's painful to see. It's painful to what I've seen it do to families. Shit like that.
Well, I mean, even like, I mean, it's funny to say. It's when I went from captain to employee development manager. You know, I didn't have to do. I went to shoe. I only had to go once a week. Captain, I went every day. Right. So, and now I'm missing in action now. Right. And I took some. I took some time off, and I was like, this is gonna be great. I'm the EDM. I don't have all these crazy captain responsibilities anymore. Right. And I go up to shoe and like, McDonald, the inmates, McDonald, where the fuck you been?
Looking for you.
I'm like, hey man, you get fired being a captain? I said, no, dude, I didn't get fired. I just got a different job now. Oh, that's fucked up. and like, of course, then one inmate's talking to you, and then the next one, and one's good, one's bad, right. One's in between, and the bad one's like, oh, McDonald, the racist, he's back, just shit like that. It's just funny. It's crazy. I mean,
they're just talking shit.
And it was like a couple weeks before. It was a couple weeks like I didn't hear somebody, even if it's an inmate, call me a racist. It's like, oh man, and then you go up there and you're like, you're a racist, and it's like, it's almost, it's like, man, can you guys just fucking stop? I mean, dude, stop. I know you're an inmate, but you can't be that stupid to where you just keep saying that shit. That's all you got? That's all you got?
That
shit was too funny.
I think some inmates, they have an on switch, and when you hit the on switch, right, there's a repeat button.
That's all they got. That's all they say.
And that's all they got.
They say.
I don't do that.
So what's like one good piece of advice you can give either a senior staff member or a brand new staff member? Because I'm getting hungry. We need to go to lunch.
We need to do some lunch.
Because we're retired and we can do that.
We're retired, so we can do that. I'm going to tell you what my mentor told me. He said, after all is said and done, 2 things that you got to do. Come to work, and while you're there, do your job. And you have no problems in the bureau. He said, the only 2 things that I want to see from you is that you come to work consistently, and while you're here, you do your job. And I said, well, what does that mean? He said, well, it's different for me. I got 500 hours. He said, when you retire, you're supposed to have 500 hours of sick leave on your books. At least. That way if something happens, something goes on, you got that to bank on. He said, have at least that when you retire so that if something does happen, you always carry that. And you got to come to work. If you don't come to work, I can't do anything for you. So I take the bus job and I do those things. Build up your sick leave. That's basically what I'm trying to say. Build up your sick leave. Do your job while you're there. And the bureau, you're going to have trials and tribulations, but it's not insurmountable, and you can make it and you can do it. And looking back, the basics is just, it's not hard. Just stick with the basics, come to work, do your job, and life is better. It's much easier. The bureau is easier like that.
Yeah. All right. Good way to close it out, man. Good seeing you.
Likewise.
Miss you.
Man, I
appreciate all the time we had together. All the time we had together, man.
Yeah, for real.
Good and bad.
It all worked out good because we're here.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I love this, Glenn.
All right, man. All right, well, thank you.
Thank
to
you.
everybody. Make sure you take care of each other.
Yes, take care.
Do the right thing. If you ever have any questions, comments, concerns that I could help you with, just hit me up. I'm on all the social media platforms. All right. Instagram's Mainline Strength and Conditioning, and then I'm on Facebook under my name. Unfortunately, I just started a Twitter one. So if you guys need something, just let me know. Have a good day. Bye.
Bye.